Hello, viewers. A very warm welcome again in the channel. And today, our topic is written communication, but this time it is about the part three. And you have already experienced the previous two parts in earlier two videos. Now, here, as usual, that I'm going to mention the source of the whole video is this book, that Introduction to Undergraduate English Book 1. So you can also have this book in the name Enrich 2 or Enrich 1. So without wasting time, let us move on to the next section of business communication. The two parts, as you can understand, written communication and verbal communication. Because written communication is our part, so here are fewer sections that we have to deal with and we have already dealt with. But see here, number three is missing. So this is number three, today's topic, summarizing annual report of a company, because the previous two we have already completed. Again, summarizing annual report of a company. What is it? Summarizing annual report of a company, that we need to understand the basic concepts first. What are annual reports? A question may be asked in that way: what are annual reports? Or give a comprehensive idea of annual reports. These are formal documents that are published by companies every year. So, annual report or reports is or are basically published by the companies every year. These also discuss the company's plans for upcoming years. These access the company's operations for preceding year, and this informs shareholders and investors about the company's activities and financial performance. So, annual reports, therefore, are basically providing informations about the financial performance, company's activities, company's operations, and plans for the upcoming years. So, these formal documents are called annual reports. So, when you have to write down what is an annual report or what are called annual reports, you need to give these points specifically. Now, in the next slide, we have to understand the importance of annual reports to investors. So, there must be certain significant points to the investors about these annual reports. Annual reports, on the other hand, definitely is significant because the investors are waiting for it. Now, what are the significant points? First of all, when someone invests in a company, they become part owners of the company, very natural. The greater the company's earnings, the more secure is the shareholders' investment. So, this is the basic motto of every company. So, it is not that a new idea that is introduced to you, because they become the part owners. So, they have a duty to understand, and they perform their duty to understand through these annual reports. So, these annual reports have indeed a very significant point or part or significance, at least, to the investors. Next is that since investors do not directly participate in the day to day working of the company, they are therefore informed about the health of the company that is going on throughout the year. So, they are informed by the annual reports. So the investors are getting the informations of the company through these annual reports. Next is that financial health of the company can be diagnosed by studying the financial parameters like earnings of the company, financial obligations, utilization of funds, assets, investments, etc. So the investors are getting again the basic ideas as well as the financial health operations or what activities so far the company have already completed. These factors are together are given to the investors through these annual reports. So to the investors, these annual reports indeed have significance. Significantly, investors are part owners of the company, and investors are informed, and company's financial health is notified. These 3 points that you need to remember from these three bigger sections. That means this one, and this one. The three basic lines that I have written for you. Investors are part owners of the company. Investors are informed through the annual reports. And finally, company's financial health is notified through the annual reports. So now moving on to the next slide, where we have to understand what are the informations published in the annual reports. So again, if the question is asked in that way about the informations that are published in the annual reports, you have to point out and write from this slide. If the question is asked differently, what are the motives or how these annual reports are significant to the investors, you have to go back to the previous slide and definitely write down those points. Now, here we have to understand that what are the informations published in the annual report. First of all, you have to understand the chairman's message. What is it? Okay, part questions may be asked in that way, that what is called a chairman's message. The chairman's message gives an overview of the past, present, and future outlook of the company. The chairman highlights significant achievements, milestones, future prospects, and also acknowledges the contribution of the management and employees through the message. So naturally, the chairman's message is significant because the chairman is, as the sectionally important person, and is holding a significant point in the company, or a part of the company, or a position in the company. Therefore, from the point of view of a company, the chairman's message is significant. So the information published in the annual reports, one point is definitely the chairman's message. The second is corporate philosophy. Now we are going to deal with this corporate philosophy later on the latter slides. But here, this section describes the principles and ethics that govern the business. Third is report of operations. The company's products and services are described in detail in this section. Next is financial statements. These include the balance sheet, cash flow statements, and profit and loss statements. So these are the statements that you have to understand from these annual reports. These statements will help the shareholder or investor understand if the company is generating enough money from the operations, or if it is consistently relying on external borrowings. So these are the factors that you need to know from the annual report. So annual report is very significant point from a company's point of view, and again holding a very special ground from the point of view of a company. Next is auditor's report. So this section contains the letter from the auditor confirming that the information in the report is accurate and certified. Lastly, management's discussion and analysis. This section of the report is where management explains how the statements were prepared. They also discuss trends that could affect the company positively or negatively in future. The investor gets an insight into the mindset and thinking of the management through this section. So this section, that means the management discussion and analysis, is significant because through this analysis and management's discussion, the investors try to get the idea of the company's well-being, or this is about the trends that could affect the well-being of the company. So these are the factors that the informations published in the annual reports, from the beginning: chairman's message, corporate philosophy, report of operations, financial statements, auditor's report, and finally management's discussion and analysis. These are the factors that you need to know from the annual reports informations. Now, next slide gives you what is corporate philosophy. As I promised you that we need to understand this corporate philosophy in a larger way. So in this slide, we are going to understand what is corporate philosophy. The corporate philosophy outlines the core values, beliefs, and guiding principles that shape a company's culture, decision making processes, and interactions with stakeholders. It reflects the company's mission, vision, and ethical stance. Here are the examples from well known companies. So, what is a corporate philosophy? It is the core values, the beliefs, or guiding principles of a company. For example, yes, there are examples. I'm giving you three examples specifically later on. But before that, try to understand what is the basic idea of a corporate philosophy. In this corporate philosophy, the stakeholders directly interact with the company. The stakeholders directly interact with the company. Moreover, it shapes the company's culture. The decision making processes are also discussed in this part of corporate philosophy. And significantly, it reflects company's mission, vision, and ethical stance. Now, let me give you examples. The first one is the company called Toyota, a very reliable company. And here there is a Kaizen philosophy. What is it? Toyota embraces the concept of Kaizen, which means continuous improvement, the Japanese term. The company believes in constantly refining its processes, products, and services through incremental changes, empowering employees at all levels to contribute ideas for improvement. This philosophy promotes efficiency, quality, and innovation. Naturally, so Toyota, why does Toyota become so much or such a huge company? Because it follows the basic principles. It follows the Kaizen philosophy, and this philosophy belongs to the corporate philosophy. So this is their philosophy. Kaizen is their philosophy. So another company has another philosophy for their improvement. Now, through this Kaizen philosophy, Toyota improves a lot because it improves efficiency, it improves quality, and also it gives you innovation. Moving on to the next, the Google, the most renowned, the most profitable. Don't be evil. So, this is their philosophy. Google's original corporate philosophy emphasized ethical behavior with the motto, Don't be evil. It reflected a commitment to integrity and the welfare of users, prioritizing transparency, user trust, and the ethical use of technology. Although Google has since replaced this with do the right thing, the sentiment remains a core part of its culture. So, here is the basic funda or idea of Google, that don't be evil or do the right thing. So, based on this philosophy, they are trying to move. Technology is used not randomly, but based on this philosophy, they are using technology to improve themselves, to give better knowledge to the readers, to the users, because it prioritizes transparency and user trust, which is very significant for their purpose. So, Google, the company, is a huge one. Why? Because they follow the basic principle of don't be evil or do the right thing. The last one is another renowned company, is Apple, and their philosophy is innovation and simplicity. Apple's philosophy revolves around creating innovative products that are simple and easy to use. The company focuses on the intersection of technology and the liberal arts, ensuring that its products are not only functional but also beautiful and intuitive. This philosophy drives Apple's product development and marketing strategies. And when you are holding an Apple phone, that means an iPhone, you will have this feeling that you are holding literally a very beautiful phone. The design itself is very good. So, but look very carefully, they emphasize always on the simplicity, because it is the innovation which gives you simplicity, and it is the simplicity which also prioritizing your innovative ideas. So these three companies have their basic mottos or have their basic ideas spread out throughout the world, not because they are simple companies, but because they have certain motto, but because they are following corporate philosophies. They have a philosophy and they are continuously or doggedly following that philosophy. The whole company is based on that philosophy. This is called corporate philosophy. Hope you have already understood it. Now, moving on to the next, what's the summary of annual report? Now, you have to understand first term summary. Here, summary is something which highlights the key points in the report. Second, the reader can get the gist of the report. Third, the reader does not have to read the entire report, and the writer of the summary should read and understand the entire report first. Only then he can or she can attempt to write down a summary. So, summary of an annual report is significant again. Now, here in the slide, I'm just first making clear what is the concept of a summary. On the next slide or the next slides, there is a short step-by-step guide on writing a summary of the annual report, because on the next slide here, you are going to get an idea how to write a summary of the annual report. Read the report thoroughly. First thing, one should carefully read all the sections of the report, make note of any new idea or point that comes up. Study all the exhibits, charts, and tables for details. You may have to reread sections of the report that are critical. Begin writing the summary only after you have read the entire report. So, the first idea is that you have to read the report thoroughly. Only after reading it thoroughly, you have to attempt to write down a summary, because reading will improve your idea about the report. Not only that, reading also give you the ideas of the critical sections where you can mark and then proceed for the further sections or proceed for the further improvements or clarifications. Therefore, reading the report thoroughly is very, very significant. The second point is introduction. Once you are ready, you can begin with a small introduction on what the annual report conveys and your motive behind writing the summary. So you have to first clear it, your motive, why you are writing this summary. Second, your small introduction of the summary will give the readers comprehensive idea about this or what you are going to attempt or what is in your mind. The third point is chairman's message. So chairman's message you have already understood, but this time it is different because it is from the point of summary of the annual report. Write the chairman's message in your own words, emphasizing the significant highlights. Try to add your interpretations of the message. For example, if you find that the chairman has spoken only about the positive aspects of the business and not mentioned any negative aspects or negative point, you can bring out that fact in the summary. So if chairman just avoids or overlooks the ideas related to negative points of the company, you can bring those points in your summary. So chairman's message you can write down, but also you have the liberty point out all those aspects which the chairman has not perhaps mentioned in his report. So this is the third part. Then last one, exhibits, charts, tables. The summary need not include all the charts that appear in the annual report. Remember that you are writing just a summary. Highlight the important facts and findings. For example, you can add up a similar items and can give overall picture of the analysis. So in a summary, you need not write the whole aspect together. Because this is a summary, you only have to highlight the highlights. That means the significant point. You only have to write down the significant points and nothing else. Hope you have understood that in writing a summary of the annual report, these points are very significant. First of all, read the report thoroughly. Second, introduction. Third, chairman's message. And fourth, exhibits, charts, tables. In that way, you can remember those, and in that way, you can write all the points together similar way and in a bold attempt. Now, moving on to the next slide where we have to understand the conclusion, the conclusive part of it. Conclusion should bring out the essence of the report. Remember that the essence of the report, and I believe that I should not make it clear what does the term essence mean. If you have the problem, just go to the Google or find out through in the dictionary what is the meaning of the essence. I have faith upon you, and I know that you know the meaning of the essence. So here, a conclusion should bring out the essence of the report. Do not add interpretations that cannot be substantiated by evidence from the report. You need not add interpretations that cannot be substantiated by evidence from the report. So you have to substantiate your evidence, what you are writing from the report. Otherwise, do not attempt this. Conclusion is significant. For example, if your analysis leads you to a conclusion that a particular project is not financially viable, you should substantiate your interpretation with evidence from the financial report. So see that here you need to understand that if you are trying to point out something serious, something important, then you have to substantiate your point. You have to give the proof that yes, from the financial part, I have collected these data, I have collected these proofs, and I am bringing it here, or those here, or these here. So therefore, annual reports are read by people from different backgrounds for different purposes. So you need also to remember this, because what you are thinking may not be correct in your perspective, but it may be incorrect or correct from another perspective. There are different types of people who are reading these reports. For example, a shareholder who does not hold a professional degree but holds a few hundred shares may want to read the annual report as much as investment banker with public funds or millions of rupees. So, a working knowledge of reading an annual report is therefore necessary for every one of us. Working knowledge, remember that working knowledge, that is very significant, because if you do not have the working knowledge, you may not understand what you are trying to read. So, annual reports also suggest that yes, if you are a shareholder or if you are in a business, then you have to understand what is working knowledge, because you have to get the knowledge of the field. If not, then there will be problem. So this is the conclusion, how we are going to write the conclusion of an annual report. Finally, there are review questions. These review questions are of 2 marks. What is an annual report? How is an annual report important to investors? Of 5 marks, why should the entire annual report before writing the summary? Differentiate between the chairman's message and auditor's report. What is the summary of an annual report? And of 10 marks, what information is given in the annual report? What are the steps one can follow when writing summary of the annual report? Elaborate corporate philosophy. What are the information published in the annual report? So these are the questions that you can easily find through the slides or through the video. Finally, thank you very much for your cooperation and try to support me as you have already done it from the beginning. And stay healthy, stay blessed until the next video comes. Thank you.